All right, everybody, welcome back to an episode of the Steelers Breakdown Podcast. Nick Farabaugh here with you guys. I am back home for good now. Latrobe is in the rear view mirror. The Steelers will still obviously have practices at the UPMC Arena Sports Complex that will matter, but joint practice coming up tomorrow with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That will be a fun one. I will be there to cover that. That will happen at 2 p.m. Mike Tomlin will speak before that. We will get probably more clarity on who will play against the Bucs on Saturday, how many starters, and what Mike Tomlin's exact plans are for that day. So let's talk about training camp now that's in the rearview mirror and some takeaways I had. Because there was a lot. I think we learned a lot about the Steelers as a team. I think we learned a lot about some individual players. And the biggest thing, that we have talked about is kind of the versatility that the Steelers are going to use defensively, the tight end heavy offense they are going to utilize offensively. And that is, I think, something that continues um, to kind of showcase itself at training camp every day. But let's talk about players because I think when you have a sample size of 15 practices, you can actually talk a little in totality about the players themselves. And the big thing I just came away with is, wow, is this cornerback room completely remade? I mean, it is so different than what it was last year, where you had so much worry about putting them in man to man. And it feels like this year I just don't have any of that. Like I don't have a trepidation about putting my cornerbacks in man to man because they can go out there and stick with those guys. I am very confident that Jalen Ramsey, uh, Joey Porter Jr., Darius Slay, and even Brandon Echols can stick in man to man. I think it's very, very clear to me. And Ramsey's kind of the crux here. I thought there was no player better at training camp than Jalen Ramsey. If he's lost a step, he's still an elite athlete. I think that's what makes him so unique. We're talking about a guy that is extremely athletic still, has incredible ball skills, and can play safety, nickel, or outside corner. He could still stick in man to man. I mean, he's a dynamic chess piece for a defensive back. And then you've had this emergence of Brandon Echols, who has just been the perfect depth piece because he can play inside or outside. He's played special teams. He's like the perfect depth piece that the Steelers have wanted. I mean, last year he would have been a starter. This year he's the corner four. I think that already showcases it, but it's like if one of these guys gets hurt, it's not the end of the world. Brandon Echols can ball. And we saw that on Saturday, and it's very true still. So they have a really good top four, and then they have a nice trio still vying for the bottom three. You have Corey Trice, who is hurt, unfortunately, right now. We'll see. I still think he's on the roster bubble. Let's see if he comes back sooner rather than later. He needs to be back, I think, by the final preseason game. But he's already missed 2 weeks with this hamstring injury. Um, then you have Beanie Bishop, who is a very willing tackler, who's very ball aware, who I think has taken a big leap in terms of his football IQ and his kind of understanding of the game. I think it's slowed down for him. I do think man to man is going to be his weakness, and I thought we saw that on Saturday. But I do think that there are pluses to Beanie's game that can't be denied, and I also think that makes him a good teamer. He's a guy that I think fits that. So can he be the backup slot? I think that'll be the question. James Pierre, great special teamer, has had like 5 picks at camp. Like there's a lot of things to take in about James Pierre too. So you're gonna have 6 really good players in that room. And this corner room has just transformed into something different. And I think that really takes things up. Let's stay on the defensive side of the ball and let's talk about one player in the linebacker room that I think has to be shouted out, and that's Cole Holcomb. I don't think I've talked enough about Cole, and maybe I shouldn't. And I don't want to talk about him early because, he wasn't in pads and he was looking good. And it was like, okay, maybe Cole Holcomb is gonna do this thing. And then he just kept going on, and it became very clear he was gonna do this thing. I mean, Cole Holcomb, I don't think is totally at the kind of he was very smooth before his injury. I don't think he's totally smooth as he was, but he can still really move in space. He's really solid in coverage still. He's got a much bigger upper body than he did when he was before the injury, but this guy still is playing at a really high level. He had such a good training camp. I really think he had a whale of a training camp. And I thought his game against the Jags was really good too. I'm just a huge fan of what he has brought to this team. He's got, there was some talk, should he potentially be cut? I mean, that is so far from where anything's even going to go. We're talking about a guy that is not only going to make the team, he's going to be the top backup linebacker. He's been better than Malik Harrison. Malik Harrison's been a really good run stuffer, but in coverage, we've seen the weaknesses. In terms of Cole Holcomb, he is shining. And he has been getting that top inside linebacker reps. So I think that's going to be something that is going to show itself through. So that linebacker room has looked good, and Cole has really looked good. The rookie D linemen have also been pretty fun to watch. Y.A. Black, I'll tell you what, I'm going to be completely honest with you. When I saw him at the Senior Bowl last year, I thought he was pretty rough there. I thought the Iowa film was solid, but not that of a huge difference maker. He's looked incredible at training camp. He's gotten his big mitts up to bat balls down. He's been a great plus run defender. Go back and watch the 10 snaps he played against Jacksonville on film. You will be stunned. He looked great out there. So that's been huge. And he's playing nose and 4-eye for the Steelers. Love to see that. Harmon's had a good camp. Sawyer's had a good camp. The Steelers defense, I think, has the chance to be a really good unit. It should be. It's got the talent to be. The defensive schematics are coming along. They're doing more blitzes. They're doing more disguises. They're getting trickier. It's a little bit more fun to watch now that you kind of don't know what they're going to do on a snap to snap basis. And so that's been a lot of fun to watch. And so this team defensively should be there. Offensively, I think it's a little bit more of a question. The tight ends are obviously going to be a huge part of this. Jonnu Smith's been a big manufactured touch guy for the team. They give him a lot of screens. They give him a lot of quick game. It's been banged up a little bit with a knee issue, but I think that's going to be a big part of how the Steelers utilize Jonnu is just kind of letting him be him, which is an explosive play magnet, using him in space. The real winner of that tight end room has been Darnell Washington. I mean, there's no other way to say it. The guy has been an absolute menace in the passing game. Um, that is something I necessarily didn't expect to see. But we're talking about a guy that has had an extremely impressive camp from the receiving side of things. Obviously, he's been a very good blocker. Um, and we know that. Um, we absolutely know that they are going to have him be a really good blocker for them because he is a great blocker. But he's going to be, I think, much more productive in the passing game. I mean, we're talking about a guy that has 26 career receptions right now. I think he can equal that number. I think he can be a guy that is a red zone threat for them. I'm thinking of like a stat line of where he has like 30 catches and like seven of them are touchdowns. I could see that happening. He's just been a guy that is somehow bigger than last year. He's got more muscle. It's not fat, it's muscle. And still, when you give him a runway down the seam, he outruns your linebackers. And then when you put a safety on him, he's too big for the safeties. Like he's a mismatched threat. He needs to be utilized. So that's a guy that I think has won big. The offensive line, I had it kind of expressed early in camp that I was a little concerned by Broderick Jones' start, and then he had the groin issue. Great ending to camp for Broderick Jones, and a really good first game too. He had a few reps against Jacksonville that I think he would want to clean up a little more. They got the ball out quick. He didn't have a lot of true pass sets, which just means, hey, I'm gonna rock back in a 45 set, and you're gonna have to beat me. If this ball's not coming out quick, I'm gonna have to hold for a legitimate 2 seconds here. That didn't happen a ton, but I thought he did showcase himself pretty well against Josh Hines Allen. He's putting together the technique more consistently, and that was always the thing with Broderick that people kind of talked to me about was like, man, sometimes he would have the hand usage and the footwork, but the pad level would go, or the pad level and the hand usage and the footwork would be there, but then he'd drop his head and then he'd expose his chest and get forklifted. He still has every now and then those technique flaws, and it's not going to be perfect. I think he's still a little bit of a work in progress, but it looks a heck of a lot better than it did to start camp. It seems like there's things starting to click there with him, and so let's hope he continues that rep, that kind of route, because I think it started to go that way. The film last year was so poor; it was not good. In terms of assignment football, in terms of technique, he was all over the place. I think the biggest thing for him in that Jags game was his footwork, and I've seen it kind of transfer over into practices. He's given Nick Herbig some trouble. I really like to see that. It's good to see Broderick Jones seemingly start to get things. Um, so I really do like that, and I think he's building confidence. Troy Faltano, I think, is going to be a stud. I talked about this last year when he faced Nick Benito and did a really great job against him. He's only reinforced that TJ Watt's giving him some trouble. He's TJ Watt. That's been a back and forth mano a mano. I think Troy Faltano is going to be legit. He even took Trayvon Walker to the woodshed on a few reps on Saturday. So I think these tackles are going to be really good. Or at least are trending the right way. Let's see where Broderick continues to go. I think Faltano is going to be really good. Broderick on the right track. Let's see how he continues to go, of course. But I think at least there's encouraging signs there. The one position I am still certainly concerned about, I'm not as concerned with safety anymore. Thornhill and Clark have had good training camps. If they could find another guy that they really like there that they think can upgrade the depth and everything, go for it. It's not a position you would turn away from. But wide receiver is the one position I think is still an issue. Calvin Austin's been banged up with his abdominal injury. DK's looked good. The only thing with DK I would stress is not a contested catch guy like George. Despite his size, he's more of actually a catch and run guy and a guy that wins through physicality by separating more than he is, throw back shoulder balls and go get it. It's not necessarily his game. Um, but the other guys in this room, I don't think have stepped up enough. I do think Roman Wilson has done enough to tell me he can have a role in this offense. I think he's had a good last week. I think he's still figuring out his bearings. I think there's some positive things though for Roman to build with, but they still need an outside receiver that has some size. They need somebody out there or they either need a outside receiver with size or an outside receiver that has some route running skills. So either of those things I think would work. They need another player here. I get to my four, and I think it's fairly easy to say DK, Calvin, Roman, Skowronek are your locks. Skowronek's gonna be a lock for special teams. He's a good blocker. You can use him in different formations. So those four are stone cold locks. But guys like Robert Woods have not stepped up. Scotty Miller's had some nice moments, but I kind of feel like I know who Scotty Miller is. He's not, this intriguing young guy. I mean, he's fast. I mean, he's got decent hands. He's able to win deep. So maybe I think if you had a fifth receiver right now, it would be him. But could you maybe upgrade on that? I think that's something to look at. I do think they have a trio of young guys in Rock Taylor, Max Hurleman, and Keyshawn Williams who have looked good for UDFA's. I'm not sure any of them have risen to the level of 53-man roster yet. Rock Taylor, for example, has been a guy that a lot of you have really asked about. I think he's looked solid. He's looked better than the third team. He's looked better than the UDFA looks. But I'm not sure it is 53-man roster good yet. Practice squad good, all three of those, certainly terms of making this roster, and certainly, when you're talking about impact to making wide receiver three reps, I'm not seeing it yet. Maybe he gets them down the stretch. I think I would like to evaluate that. I would like to see him get second team reps. I think he's graduated from the third team. I do. So I would like to see that, but I do think wide receiver is still a place they need to add somebody at. That is one position I think that still a little concerning. I also think offensive line depth, something I would like to see them add. In terms of quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, I think he's looked fine. He's not the Aaron Rodgers of old. He's not super mobile. He's not like old Ben statue, but so he'll move around a little bit, but it's not like the old days of Aaron Rodgers where he would scramble a lot. His arm's still alive. The accuracy spottiness from last year is still there a little bit, but I do think he'll be a solid player for them. So let's see kind of where things go here over the next few weeks or these next two preseason games. I would like to see the starting offense pop in there for at least one game. Um, and I'm really excited to see what they look like here against another team in the Tampa Bay Bucks tomorrow. So that will be a lot of fun, and I will have coverage from there. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn on the notification bell for more, everybody, and thanks for watching.